Hey everyone, do you get screaming babies sometimes? I know I do, so this video is for you if you are wanting to figure out how to chill out after that. So my name's Devin. I am the admin for the group. I'm a wife and I'm a mama, and I've been teaching yoga for over 15 years now. My kiddos are 4 and almost 15 months, and I'm in the screamy phase of life. So stick around till the end because I'm going to give you some tips, and the last one is my best one. They're all good, but yeah, last one's the best one. And yeah, let's get started. If you are joining me live, let me know. If you are joining me later on for the replays, let me know when. I love to know when is convenient for you. For me, this time is convenient because that's when they're both in bed and hopefully they have a good sleep and uninterrupted, right? And as I'm chit-chatting, if anything comes up that is resonating with you, feel free to say so in the comments, or you can drop an emoji. If you have a question, feel free to drop it in the comments, or if you feel a little uncomfortable dropping it in the comments, you can always DM me, and I can pretty much guarantee you if you have a question, there's at least one other person who has the same question. So don't ever feel like your question is not a good one. And I'm always here to want to help you guys have as joyful an experience parenting as possible. Because I know that's my goal, and I know some days are not. All right, so yeah, let me get into it with my experience of screaming babies, and then I'll give you my tips. So I'll always remember when before I had kids. I went on a family vacation with my stepmom and a cousin and my sister's family and my now husband. And my sister's family and me and my husband had like this shared kind of like unit. So we had, my husband and I had our own room, then there was like a living room in the middle, and then my sister and her 2 kids and husband were in the other room. Her daughter was 3 and her son was 11 months. And her 3-year-old was sleeping in the living room in between because there was like a pull-out couch area. And I remember how her 11-month-old, my nephew, was screaming one night, and I was just like, oh man, like I feel so bad for her. Like I wonder if I was like that. I wonder if my husband was like that. Like her daughter Violet was not like that. She was a very good sleeper, so I was like, oh man, this must be like such a weird like transition for her because her daughter was so easy. And then like just thinking it was like not uncommon because I knew it was common, but like I never even thought, that was never on my radar that was going to be something I would go through. And it's so funny thinking back because I think absolutely every parent deals with that. Maybe it's not during sleep time, but at some point, you know, and how she was very calm. And I always had wondered if that was because she had that shared unit with my husband and I, and she didn't want us to judge her, which I so wouldn't have. And then I had my kids, and So if you have not heard my story before, I've shared a number of times that, and it's good to share in this month because it's Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, that my first pregnancy was resulted in a loss at almost 29 weeks, and then when I had my daughter, I got pregnant with her like 5 months after the loss, and so that pregnancy was like a total mind game because I was so worried. I wasn't like emotionally healed from my first pregnancy, and so when she was born, she, she would, as any baby, have her screaming moments, but I would have this huge guilt about like, I'd have this initial feeling of frustration because I didn't know why she was screaming, and then feeling so guilty because I felt like I didn't have the right to be frustrated because of what happened with my first pregnancy. And that took some time healing, but like she was pretty good during the day, but she fought sleep like crazy. So that was her screamy thing because she wanted to party. She was a very low sleep needs baby, and I remember telling my friends like, oh, like I'm gonna be her bed, like she's never going to not be sleeping on me. And like now she's a great sleeper. Like we go, like my husband will tuck her in while I'm dealing with our son, and he gives her like 5 minutes where he's hanging out with her, reading to her, gives her a little cuddle, and then leaves, and she's still awake, and then she goes to sleep by herself. So I'm like, me like 3-4 years ago would never ever have believed that she was gonna be like this. And then fast forward to my son, I felt like a lot more experienced as a parent. So a lot more free spirited, I guess. Not so like regimented with like timing schedules and this and that. And he's been a lot less screamy up until more recently. So his thing is screaming to get what he wants. So he's starting to talk a little bit. Like he says, mama, dada. He really likes saying a nay, nay. He says, yeah, he says hi and boop. And recently he started saying bum bum. But he hasn't like really gotten the vocalization to be able to like ask for stuff. So he will scream for stuff like at the top of his lungs, to the point of last week where when he got to like the highest pitch his voice could go, he was starting to lose it. So I was like, okay, we have to have a talk. And like my initial feelings, as I'm sure you all have experienced, is like, why are you screaming? And like feeling really frustrated. And it's just like this, I think that's this thing we all experience because our babies can't talk. And so there's this complete lack of communication other than like your intuition. And that can be so frustrating. And then once like they're able to start talking a bit more, like that frustration lessens and lessens, and others come up, but in this particular situation. And so that's like my initial thing. Like the screaming, it feels like psychological damage. Like if you ever played fighting games like on video games growing up, and you have like the health bar at the top, for me that screaming makes like that health bar go down for like my psychological self, like my mental damage just like goes right. And so I've had to think of ways to chill out from that, because I'm sure you guys are the same way. I just want to, my goal every day is to just have the best day ever with my kids, and to just try to enjoy every moment, because everyone says it goes so fast, um, and you know, just like find the joy in parenting and not be like mad all the time. And so I have been using my training, because when these situations come up, eventually at some point I'm always like, oh yeah, I have training for this stuff. And of course, you know, you forget about these things, because you know, who's going to stop and think about, oh, like my kid's screaming at me, I'm just going to meditate through it. But that is my tip number one for later on. You know, once the screaming is done, you should meditate if you are able to, if you want to try it out, because like I said, that screaming is like it like makes your health bar recede. And you know, it gives you like stress and anxiety and frustration, and all of these things add up. They make the cortisol hormone in your body raise, and all sorts of things can go along with that. For me, I always know I'm at like a point where I need to do something when my eye starts twitching. It's always this eye too. I don't know why, but I'm like, okay, my eye's twitching, I need to do something. So, you know, if you're at that point, don't just like be okay, well, this is my life now, because you know, that's stealing your joy, and you have every right to have joy in this moment of your family and your parenthood. So don't just like sit in it and let it grow and like turn into other things, you know. So the first thing I would suggest is to practice meditation. So, you know, meditation is not it doesn't have to be something where you are just sitting and trying not to think of anything. Because if you are someone who has never meditated, that is really not an accessible way to start your meditation journey. Some people like to do movement while they're meditating. So like a really good example is going for walks without any music or anything, and it's just like giving you time to reflect and contemplate and check in with yourself and feel grounded in nature. You know, some people don't want to do that because they don't feel comfortable in the silence and they want to have the music or whatever. So another way that is very accessible to beginners is to meditate right before you fall asleep. So like you lie down, your head hits the pillow, and you close your eyes and you're not asleep yet. And this is especially good if you do have trouble sleeping. You just have your eyes closed, and then you can do a number of things to start your meditation. You can count your breath. You can like count how long your inhales and your exhales are, or you can count each individual breath, like inhale, exhale is 1, inhale, exhale is 2, sort of thing. Or you can visualize the things that are running through your mind, just like floating off, and eventually having a more quiet mind. Or you can work with like a phrase that you can repeat over and over again in your mind, like a very common one that there's like you've heard before, this too shall pass. You could say that. Uh, or any phrase really that resonates with you. And I really like the phrases and the counting as a beginner because you are saying those things in your head. So it is helping you to focus on the thing you are saying in your head instead of all of the things that are flying through your mind, like your troubles and your worries and the things you have to do. Like those will quiet down because you're focusing on saying the thing that you are saying in your brain. And the added bonus of that is that meditation has been proven to help you with sleep. So if you're doing it right before sleep, when you are kind of your own captive audience, then maybe you'll fall asleep faster and maybe you'll have better quality of sleep because we don't always have the quantity that we want as mothers. So yeah, meditation is like my first, and it's my first tip, and I would highly recommend trying it even if you are a skeptic, especially right before bed, because why not? Especially if you have trouble falling asleep, because super why not? And then so that's a tip for like after, like maybe your kid's in bed now and you're still like bothered by the screaming of the day. So that's my tip for after. My tip for during the screaming is to try out different breath techniques. So, ideally, if the baby's screaming, you're able to get them to stop, or if they won't stop, ideally you have your village and somebody can tag in so that you can have some peaceful alone moments to regenerate the mental damage that the screaming has done to you. But that's not always the case, right? You might be a single parent, maybe your partner is still at work, there's 100 million different reasons why that might not be possible. So if you have to stay in it and you're getting more and more angry, like the steam's about to come out of your ears, I want you to stop and breathe. And that might be like, that's not gonna help me right now, I'm too mad, but it is gonna help you. You might notice if you're able to just like, if your baby's screaming at you and you're able to just like tune out the screaming for a second, you might notice that your breathing is quick and shallow because you're mad or you're frustrated. And I want you to be able to notice that and then begin to slow down and deepen your breath. And you can do that by counting or just like knowing like, okay, now I'm gonna breathe in longer and exhale longer. And doing so is gonna help you to kind of like almost ground yourself in the midst of the chaos and the storm. And it's really like the best and only thing you can do in that moment. You don't want to do anything that you will feel guilty about later on. So the only thing you can really do is take a breath. I know you might want to scream back. It's not going to help. Like, the baby it's screaming because the communication's not there yet. And screaming back at your baby, even though it might be tempting, it's not going to help at all, and it's just going to make you feel bad. So try to work on your breath and just be like, if your baby's like right here screaming, you're just like, and do that a few times. It's going to help to ground you and center you and allow you to take on that screaming and to maybe find a better way to deal with the screaming. For example, I said like a week ago, that I was really going through it to the point where my son was losing his voice from screaming. And not because he was like sad or hurt himself or anything. This was his way of telling me he wanted something. And then I had to guess. Like, I'd be in the kitchen, I'd be like, do you want this? And he's screaming. No. Okay. Do you want this? He's screaming. And I was like getting to the point of like, and his voice was going. So I was, something in my head was like, we have to have a talk. And I like, part of me is like, what's the point? But I'm like, this is the only thing I can think to do. So I took some deep breaths so that it was a talk and not me screaming back at him. And I said, look, you can scream all you want. If you want something and you're screaming for it, we're not going to give it to you. So that's going to help you learn to start using your words. You say, if you want something, you know how to say mama, you know how to say dada, you know how to say nene. If you want Izzy to get you something, learn how to say her name. This is your time to start learning to use your words. Stop screaming. I'm not getting you anything if you're going to scream at me. And strangely enough, it stopped. He stopped screaming and he even like going forward, like, you know, he hasn't stopped screaming completely. He'll scream for other things, like if he is tired or, you know, if he fell down and felt bad about it or hurt himself or something, you know. But in terms of wanting something, at least with me, he has stopped screaming. And he'll say, ma, 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 or a nay, nay. And like sometimes, you know, you're looking at something or trying to do something, and I'll get to like this initial thought of like, yeah, whatever. But I'm like, no, I asked him to say mama when he wants something and not scream. He's saying mama. I have to reward him for listening to me. So, yeah, like, taking the deep breath helped me to find a solution and not like just be reactive to the situation. So I highly suggest doing that. And even when they're little and can't communicate very well, talk to them, you know. It's something that is very interesting that they understand you. And that leads me to my third and last tip. They're screaming at you, so you're going to have to find a solution instead of just being like, oh yeah, that's my kid. He or she is a screamer. So once you take that breath, or once you have meditated and chilled out a little bit, if you're able to analyze the situation, maybe like from afar and not during the chaos, and figure out, why is your baby screaming? You know, it's easier said than done, right? But like with the story I shared before with my nephew, it was sleep stuff. With my daughter, it was sleep stuff. With my son, it was him wanting stuff, and that's how he was talking to me. And when you're able to analyze the situation, don't underestimate the child just because they are young. Even if they are like a month old, you know, they obviously don't understand words, but they understand your tone, they understand your voice. Talk to them. And you know, it might not change right away, especially if they're still little, like a month old or something. But if you make that part of your routine, talking to them, I know it sounds like simple, or you want to roll your eyes at it maybe, but you never know what that will yield for you. Like, I didn't think that Felix was going to stop screaming from me having this talk with him, but he did stop screaming, and I have to give him so much credit for that, because I guess he didn't know. He was like, oh, I can't talk, so I'm just going to scream. And then when I had the talk with him, he's a bit older, right? He's going to be 15 months. He understands what I'm saying. He just can't say the same things, right? So he heard me saying these things. He's like, oh, they're not going to get me whatever I want from screaming. So I guess I'm going to have to start using my words more. And yeah, it can be like amazing how much that can affect and create change from the situation. And then once the situation changes, because it will, I promise you. Like I said, I thought my daughter was gonna be screaming and on me forever, but she is not that way anymore. And you also kind of forget, because I'm like, I don't know when it happened, but she's a good sleeper now. So, so yeah, if you are really going through it, let's review what to do after the fact. Try meditation. There's many different ones. You can even go on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, SoundCloud, anything that you use to listen to stuff. And you can find meditations and put a guided one on too if you want. And use that to help regenerate your health bar during the situation. Be able to take a deep breath. And once again, I know that sounds so basic that you're like, I'm not even gonna try that, but like definitely try it. It's amazing what it can do for you. And then the third tip is to not underestimate your baby. Try to analyze why you think your baby's crying, and then have a talk with them. And it might not happen on the first time, especially if they're younger, but just keep talking to them so that they understand that this is not behavior that you like. And maybe it's not behavior you're going to accept. And then eventually it will stop. And the added bonus is you're going to feel so like accomplished for helping your baby to get beyond that screaminess. And instead of feeling like crap for being reactive, we've all been there, and we all feel crappy after being reactive. So if you're able to implement these 3 tips, then you're going to feel so much better about it. You're going to feel accomplished. You're going to feel the joy come back in, right? You don't want to have those like drained, overwhelmed, like frustrated and like just completely overwhelmed feelings that can and do crop up. If you're able to use these tips so that you can move past it and continue to find the joy in what you're doing, because things do go by so fast, and you do forget things and miss things, and you probably will be surprised about the things you miss. But spoiler, I know I'm not going to miss the screaming. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. And once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I want to make sure that you are able to have as much joy as possible in your motherhood journey instead of overwhelm and exhaustion and frustration. I want you to feel like more Maria Von Trapp than the Judge Judy meme. All right, so look out for my polls on Monday so that you can vote on what this live is about. And usually on Thursdays I have a poll to ask you guys what tutorial you want. But this week we are going on to the next installment of my hip pain relief series. So I will post the link for you when it is up on the weekend. And other than that, I hope you have a wonderful evening. And I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.